All right. So we are getting ready to go live here. As you can see, we are live. A few people are getting ready to start tuning in. Everybody's going to start jumping on the live stream here. I just want to welcome everyone. What's up, Jackson, Wolfen Racing, Glorious on Roblox. What's up, everyone? So today we're going to be doing a live Q&A, something I haven't done in a long time. I like doing Q&As. It's kind of just more of a chill thing to do on a Sunday. I wanted to upload a vlog, but at the same time I wanted to do one of these. And so I just wanted to balance it out, and I figured Sunday would be perfect because, you know, everyone's sitting at home. They either playing video games, have nothing to do, just got done watching the NASCAR race. So I figured this would actually be perfect. And just a good way to get to talk to you guys, see what you're up to, and do that. So I got the live stream running right here. I'll be answering all of your guys' questions. We can kind of just get started here. But like I've said, excited to get to interact with you guys here on a Sunday. And we're going to do this for probably about 45 minutes to an hour. I just want to, you guys, if you're new, to get to know me better, or if you have any questions you want me to answer. So let's see. One of you guys said rain out last night. No, we did not rain out last night. We did have some weather delays, but that didn't stop anyone from wanting to race. So we got out there a little bit later. Track was pretty hooked up. I'm not going to spoil too much of it for the vlog, but yes, we did have some rain that interfered with everything. So I've done a few of these before. After the live stream, I'll go back down and link them in the description below. But there's a ton of other live Q&As. If you know, a lot of the general questions. You know, for example, a lot of people ask, you know, where I'm from. I'm from Oregon, Southern Oregon in particular, and how to get started in racing. You know, outlaw karts and stuff like that. If you guys want me to do any stories or anything, you know, specific to the questions, I will do that as well. But, you know, a lot of the basic ones I will answer only because I don't want you guys to go back and maybe watch some of my first Q&As. You know, that was back when I first started. And so I'm a lot younger and I just didn't know as much of what I'm doing. So now I know a little bit more. But any questions? So first off, I see this one, Brent Butler. He said arm restraints. I've been getting this one a lot lately. I have not worn arm restraints lately just because with my custom Simpson suit, which I'm not wearing that anymore because I kind of outgrew it really quickly and it wasn't built right for me. Unfortunately, I just didn't get much life out of it. You know, when we got it first, it fit all right. And then it kind of slowly got worse and worse as I hit a few growth spurts. And so we sent it back to them. They kind of put some material in the legs it's supposed to make it better. And it did a little bit, but overall it was just getting so uncomfortable. I just didn't like wearing it. So I just went back to just a normal different Simpson, and pretty soon I'm going to be ordering some new custom suits for next year with all the sponsors. But since I don't have like the built-in arm restraints on this other suit, I just decided, you know, not to wear them. So that's kind of that. And I mean, I would have to maybe do some tests to see really how much they help you, but I wear them up here on the biceps, so I don't really think they do that much anyway. Alrighty. How tall are you? I am like about 5'8", 5'9", last time I went to the doctor, so I'm decently tall. I don't want to get too much taller because I want to be able to fit in an outlaw cart, but, you know, once you get too big, those things, you know, you can be really, really crammed in there, and that's not very fun. Opinion on the Roval. I just got done watching. I didn't watch the first part of the race, but I kind of watched the end of it. I think it's a pretty interesting track. Road courses in general seem to be really good. Like Watkins Glen this year was so fun to watch on NASCAR. So the Roval, I think it's good. I think more kind of unique tracks like that would be good for NASCAR. You know, I think part of the reason why World of Outlaws or ASCS or USAC is so cool because it seems like sometimes they go to some different tracks and you never really know what their schedule is going to look like. Whereas NASCAR, besides the few changes they made lately, you know, you're going to start in Daytona, you're going to end in Homestead, which I think it's different this year. But, you know, for so many years, it was the same races every single weekend. So nothing really unique. Have I ever ran in the Mid-East? I have not. One time was able to get back to the East Coast and run North Carolina. So, and the Outlaw card, if you guys seen some of those vlogs. So it's probably kind of over in that area, but otherwise I'm just really a West Coast racer. PA Speed Week or Ohio Speed Week. My thoughts on both of those is they're awesome. Any type of Speed Week is really, really cool because you get a ton of racing in such a short amount of time. And that's really, really awesome. Back there, I know they get so many cars, and you know, PA is just known for their sprint car racing, so it's really a good thing for them. Any beginner tips for racing? My beginner tips would just be, you know, first get sponsors. If you're trying to get into racing, the best thing to do is get sponsors, write a proposal, and I'm actually working on making a video on that as I create all my stuff for 2020. You know, do a proposal or a resume of some sort, kind of in a professional way to kind of present yourself to people, and then talk about how you want to get into racing, or if you're trying to acquire new sponsors. And then once you kind of get the car and everything, you know, if you're able to get the funding and whatnot to race, you know, the biggest thing is just work on the basics. You know, seat time is everything. The more you can race, the better. In anything, whether even if maybe you're going to a bad racetrack or something, or it's, you know, the material's not very good. Seat time is everything. And then the biggest thing is just work on getting faster and faster, you know, hitting your marks, driving harder, and figuring out the racetrack and how to drive it. That's the biggest thing. There's a race car in Australia called a Micro Sprint. They have similar engines as Outlaw Karts. I've kind of heard a little bit about these over in Australia. From what I know, of course, the micros here in the United States, they are 600 cc's, and they're obviously different than the Outlaw Karts. I think I've heard some rumors about some Outlaw Karts being in New Zealand soon, so that'd be a big step, and that'd be cool because if they had some big races over there, and of course, Outlaw Karts is so big here on the West Coast, so it's cool to see it expand. Also, just want to mention, if I don't get to your question, you know, of course, a bunch of them are just coming in at once. Just keep asking it. I'll eventually see it. What got you into racing? Did the transition from Outlaw Karts to sprint cars feel easy or tough? Me and my kids really enjoy watching your racing videos. Well, Joshua, thank you so much. Getting into Outlaw Karts, kind of, my dad owned a business. And he was doing work for someone who wanted some work done. And the guy happened to own an Outlaw cart, and one of my dad's buddies convinced him to get it for me because, you know, we had watched NASCAR a little bit off and on, but, you know, we weren't big-time racers. Like, we didn't go to the weekly races every single weekend. You know, my dad had just literally went to Sears Point, which what it was named back then, down in Sonoma one time. And so we got a cart, went out to the local track, kind of got it figured out, and from there it just took off. You know, I don't think my dad really thought I was going to enjoy it at all, and the first year was kind of hectic, but after that, you know, I said this is what I want to do, and that's just what we continued to do. And then it kind of continued with Carly, and I mean, now 10 years down the road, we're running sprint cars or running Outlaw Karts with the toughest competition in the country, and it's truly a blast. Have you ever raced with Kyle Larson in Outlaw Karts? If you did you beat him? C&M Farming, I have raced with Kyle before, mainly at the Cycleland Speedway for the Kyle Larson Outlaw Kart Showcase, and then the other times that I raced with him, I was at Millbridge Speedway in Millbridge, North Carolina, and those were really, really fun. He's just good. He's got a good, solid piece. He, as a driver, of course, anything he's in, he's fast, so I don't think I have well, one time in a heat race, actually, I take that back. I'll tell a quick story. I was going to beat him one time in a heat race. I started on the front row at Millbridge, and I was running second. I think he had to start in the back because maybe he showed up late or something. I was running second. I was actually doing very well. I had some really good guys behind me, like Tom Hubert, my car owner Jimmy Elledge was behind me, and then Kyle, and they were all racing for like fourth. And Tom was right on me, and I went into 3 and 4 with like a few laps to go, and I blew up, motor grenaded and everything. I locked up, and poor Tom Hubert, he hit me, and Kyle piled in, but he missed it, and so did Jimmy and a few others. So I was gonna beat him in a heat race, but it all went south. What do you think about the NASCAR race? Kind of already touched on that, Jackson. It was good. NASCAR race was awesome. Fun to watch, and congrats to Chase Elliott. That's cool to see him win. How old are you? I am, life of CJ, I am 16 years old, and my birthday's on June 11th, so I still got a while till I'm 17. Hunter Carson, can you do some shop vlogs? Yes, that'll be coming up during the off season. A lot. It's funny, this year, since we did so many more races, I felt like I didn't get the chance to make as many videos, I guess you could say, during the week, or any sit-down videos like Q&As or or challenges or anything, kind of just a lot of racing vlogs, which I enjoy, but we just ran so many races this season. We're going to be doing about 75, 80 shows by the end of it. I would get so behind on Speed Week vlogs and trying to catch up and stuff, and so I found myself just a lot of time at the computer, which was fun. I enjoy doing all of it, but definitely during this off season, you guys will see some more stuff, so that'll be exciting. Let's see. Will you race at Oshweekend? Oshweekend seems like a really, really cool track. I would love to race there. It looks really, really fun. It looks like pretty big, of course, and I've seen a lot of good races. One thing that's unique about Oshweekend that I see, it's one of those tracks that just gets really wide and really slick, and that's totally my style of racing. Slick tracks, very wide. You can run multiple different lines. That's everything I look for in a racetrack that I want to go to. Zach Scott says, ever want to run full fender stuff, dirt late model, etc.? I would be open to doing that for sure. I would love to try any different form of racing, whether it's supercross or late models or modifieds, and I think they would all be fun, and they all race so much differently. So one of these days, I would like to get in something definitely, and a Hornet, which 4-banger, 4-cylinder, whatever you call them. I know they all have different names all over the United States. That's the next thing I want to get in. A 4-banger would be so fun. Those guys go out there and they just give it their all. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. What size is your steering wheel in your sprint car? I believe it's a 15. No, the one in my Outlaw kart's a 15-inch. It may be a 16-inch, I believe. Yeah, the Outlaw kart, I use a pretty big steering wheel. Both of them are Joe's Racing products, and I really enjoy the Joe's. The Joe's are really nice. Yeah. Do you plan to race in the 360 Knoxville Nationals? Joel, I would love to run the Knoxville Nationals. I think that's every racer's dream and every racer's goal. There's so many different tracks. It's funny, I read the comments, everyone wants me to come to the local track, and I would love to do that. Just part of what's tough is, funding in the sprint car. It's not like an Outlaw kart. The Outlaw kart, fortunate enough, we're able to travel a lot. The cost of the cars isn't as expensive. And once you kind of take that step into a sprint car, it's just so much more. So the biggest thing I'm going to do during this offseason is, work on getting even more marketing partners, for next season. And the more funding and the more sponsors we get, the more we're going to be able to do. So that's our goal within a few years, is to be on a bigger tour, whether that's a national tour or, racing more all over the United States. But to get there, we could literally do it this year or this next year if we just had the funding. So that's the biggest thing I'm going to be working on during the off season. When's your next iRacing meetup? Okay, so I'm going to be doing some of these soon. We're going to have some time because I have a few weeks off. Sprint car season's over. Outlaw karts don't start for about, 3-4 weeks. So I think I'm going to do one planned coming up, and I haven't got a chance to do one in so long. Just not a lot of time on the computer at home anymore. Just a lot more racing and time spent in the shop for the few days we have in between race days. And so when I finally do get to sit down or whatever, I got to work on just getting better on iRacing so I can compete with all you guys. Any tips on how to gain sponsorships? The biggest thing is, talk about what you can do for the company. I still have a lot to work on. I'm not perfect with getting, marketing partners and whatnot. My writing, pretty much I try to go through, write a letter. And one thing that helped me is go on the internet and type in racing resumes and read different people's. You'll notice which ones are really good and which ones look really professional. And then kind of base yours, get a few of them and kind of make like a little outline. And then kind of, tell what you want to do in it and go from there. So that's what I'm doing currently right now. I'm working on it and want to get it done as soon as possible so I can take that out to, companies and whatnot. And from there, just try to be yourself, and I'm not good at talking on the phone. Some people do calls or emails, or I like to go see in person or send out an email, when do you want to meet and stuff like that, and find people that are interested. But getting sponsors is a lot harder said than done. A lot of people will, say they want to help you and stuff, and that's great. But at the end of the day, you got to find people who, they really are interested in your racing or what you're doing. There's a lot of people that, will just talk and say they want to help, and that's cool and all, but, at the end of the day, people got to, put the money where their mouth is. And so, but yeah, like I said, be yourself, and a lot of people will want to help you out. Are you possibly going to race a 410 sprint car at any point in time? That's everyone's goal as well. I would love to race a 410. It just kind of goes back to, 410s also, they're kind of dead around here. Definitely in the Pacific Northwest, there's only zero, almost zero 410s. There's barely any. And there's a little bit of a series in California called NARC Fujitsu 410 series, and it's pretty good. They're getting about 18 to 20 cars. So it's not like PA or somewhere else where the 410s are still thriving. So I don't know. If the opportunity presents itself, of course, I would absolutely take it. It's just, it doesn't really make sense for us to go out and buy a 410 unless we were going to run California full time with that series. We ever go to Valvoline Raceway in Australia? That place looks really fun. That's another track where I would like to get to. I've seen some cool videos from there, and it looks like a fun time. Judson O'Neill, can I schedule an interview with you for JRN? Absolutely. If you guys, it's funny. So I have some different things kind of go on. If you guys ever want me to be on your podcast, interviews, I've seen people have texted me over school projects, like, comment, let me know, make sure I see it. I always like to do that stuff. Anytime where I get to talk more, I love that. But also, it's good practice, because one of the biggest things that I see nowadays is a lot of racers. They have incredible talent, and then they can't talk their way out of a bag. So that's one thing I think to work on is, how you can talk to people, how you can do in interviews, because the better you get at that, that is also one thing I personally think sponsors or someone who wants to help out, they look at that. So yeah, if you guys want to do interviews, whatever, message me, and that I would be glad to do that. Clash at the Creek next year? I'm not sure. I think once they announce that, the Clash at the Creek is a race in Catawba, North Carolina. It pays $2,000 to win. I was there last year and I ran third, so that's actually a pretty solid little track. When they get it right, it's really fun. So I would like to go back there. It just, we'll have to kind of see as we get a little bit closer. See. Do you ever want to do wingless? Yeah, I would love to do wingless. That's another thing. Wolf and Racing Studios asked that. Wingless looks like a bunch of fun. Such a different type, how you drive the cars, how the cars react, and it's just a totally different driving style. So wingless, definitely something I want to do in the future, and I have some good friends that run it, and they're really, really good. What's your ultimate goal? 3 wide time ass. My ultimate goal is to make it to the World of Outlaws, or honestly any form of professional racing where you could kind of make a living off of it. If you can make a living driving race cars, that's the goal. What better would it be to wake up, go get your pit pass, work on the car, or be at the racetrack and get to go to different ones every single night, and then make your money in racing through merchandise and winnings, of course. And I think that's it. That's the dream right there. Of course, as a racer, making a living in racing, if you don't have good years or whatever, you're not making insane money, but to do it as a job would just be that makes up for it. Do I have new merch coming soon? I do. I'm working on some right now, a new hat design, and then also an Outlaw cart design. So that should be dropping. I don't have an exact date. There's still a lot more to be done, but that's the goal, to have it out. So then for Christmas time, and you guys, can purchase it way ahead of time. So stay on the lookout for that. Do you think of racing in other classes than sprint cars or outlaw carts? Yes and no. We just don't have a lot of other racing around here. We have outlaw carts and sprint cars. It's not like there's a lot of other things. Micros, we do, but the reason we always chose the outlaw cart route over the micro route, because micros, you have to travel at least 4 or 5 hours north and at least 5 or 6 hours south. So carts just made more sense. We have Roseburg an hour north of us. We have a local track here, Wairika an hour south of us, and Red Bluff only 3 hours south, and Cycland 4 hours south. So a lot more outlaw kart racing in our area. Would you ever drive a midget by Kevin Wallace? Midgets look like a blast. I have a lot of friends that also race those, and Jesse Caldwell, a good friend of mine, he's in a KKM midget, and just so much good racing. I mean, all you have to do is watch the Four Crown Nationals from last night, and the midget portion, just the bombs that CV, Carrick, and Courtney were throwing. I mean, there's no better show than that. So midgets are another goal if to get in one of those, and that's what a lot of the outlaw kart drivers seem like they're doing. You kind of get in outlaw karts, you try to get noticed there, and you hope to get picked up and straight into a midget in the Midwest with Power Eye National, USAC, or any regional stuff. So that's definitely one of the routes I think a lot of guys are taking, and I would be also open to taking that route. Are you going to the Chili Bowl in 2020? I want to go to the Chili Bowl. That's just one of those things you have to experience. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be racing it, of course. It's tough when you don't own a midget, just to show up to the Chili Bowl, because also, you'd have to rent a car and whatnot, and not having much experience. So I don't know if I would actually race it this season. I would like to get some races in a midget before I just show up to the Chili Bowl. And it's obviously coming down to crunch time where, there's not a lot of time left before. So if I go this year, I'm just going to probably end up watching. But and do some videoing and whatnot. I've talked to some guys about helping them out. So videoing at the Chili Bowl, making some cool vlogs. I think that'd be some great content. Which one's more competitive, Outlaws or Sprints? I think the division I'm in now for sprint cars, of course, Outlaw karts are just more competitive a little bit. I think the 360 class resembles a lot more kind of like our Outlaw karts. The one thing I think people don't realize about Outlaw karts is like the open class at Red Bluff, for example. We'll get 30 cars a night. There's a solid chance 15 of those 30 cars could win the race. And that's what's so insane. They start 16 cars there, and it doesn't matter if you start last. There's some tracks in sprint cars, it's going to be tough for him to win. And it's tough at Red Bluff, but so much happens on those tiny little straightaways and corners and that tiny little bull ring that you can go from 16th to like 4th in just a few little mistakes people make. Big wrecks occur sometimes and stuff like that. And, people pile in. I mean, you can go from 16th to 8th, 16th to 6th, and like that. So Red Bluff, so much can change in just a few laps, and I think that's why it's so tough. Will you race at the Salem indoor track this winter? I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the schedule. We might hit a race or two there. Salem, it's not a bad track. It's not really my favorite because it's flat and it's really, really big. I don't mind the size of it, but it's just not super racy, and I was involved in a really bad accident last time I was there, so we just never really went back. It never fit in with our schedule, so I don't think I'll be there this season. Maybe once or twice if I do. What chassis do you run in your sprint car? We run KPC chassis. They're from down in California. Really, really like them. Haven't had any issues with them. Great everything. So KPC, if you're getting started in sprint cars and you're from the West Coast, that's a great option. What are your favorite Aussie drivers? My favorite Aussie drivers are James McFadden. I mean, the guy's a wheelman. He's an absolute wheelman. Knows how to get around the racetracks. And, it's been really impressive to see what he's been able to do coming now over to the United States and racing a lot more than I think he usually has. And being in the 9 car for Casey Kane Racing, he has totally proven himself, winning multiple all-star races and really making that team where they are now. So James McFadden, huge fan of him, and he's just ran really good this season. What are your tips for someone getting into sprint cars? Getting into sprint cars, biggest thing is just work on kind of keeping the car straight and going at your own pace. I know sometimes it can be very nerve-wracking going at high speeds and being in a bigger car. So the first thing I was always told getting in was what you need to learn to become a successful driver quickly. Just figure out how wide your car is, because going from karts to sprint cars, figure out the width of your car, and once you figure that out, you can kind of judge what holes you can fit through and what moves you can make. And then also, the biggest thing in a sprint car difference from an outlaw car is the closing rate. So when you're much faster than someone in a big car like that, you're going to catch them way faster. And karts, I feel like there's a little bit more room for error. Where sprint cars, if someone catches the slick a little bit with their right rear, and you're in the grip, like you're gonna drive right around them. Where karts, it's like that, but it's not. So definitely, those were the two biggest things I was always told getting into it, and they've proven to be very true. You guys can keep the questions rolling in. You guys are doing good. I'm trying to get to everyone. Williams Grove Speedway. Williams Grove looks fun. Next season, I don't know about that, but another bucket list track. Are trophies what you win for? Is it money, pride, bragging rights? I just want to know a driver moral to deeper understanding. Now, this is actually a great question. It's by Draco. So, for me, racing is more just about... It's not really actually about any of those. Of course, everyone wants to be the best, but once you win, like once you race once, like it's in your blood. And that's kind of a casual term a lot of people use, but racing to me is just everything. It's just what we do. It's something our whole family does. It's not just me, and that's just how we choose to kind of spend our time. And we all really enjoy it, and we all play a different aspect on the team. Of course, Carly and I are more drivers, and drivers, and my dad is kind of, of course, making it happen, and my parents actually together, and that's kind of how most family teams are kind of structured. And Carly and I, obviously, we play a huge part in the whole circle of it, whether that's, doing stuff on the race cars, loading the trailer, making sure it also happens in just a different way. And then my older sister, Krissa, she plays also more of a part, being there for just support, and she does a lot of stuff to help make these vlogs possible with filming. No editing. She doesn't do any editing, but she does a lot of filming and whatnot, and just being there. So, and live streaming sometimes. So for me, the biggest thing, I do love trophies, and that's something I should probably show you. So yesterday we got the championship trophies for our ISCS division. So our limited class, we won our first ever sprint car championship. There's the trophy. It's actually it's my favorite color, green. So that's really cool. It says first place, Tanner Holmes. Leave that right over there. Yeah, I mean, biggest thing that I love is I do love trophies. The trophies are really cool. Always like when stuff is unique. Like the Red Bluff Outlaw ones in the background, the Eagles, those are phenomenal. I always like when tracks do that, and I think that's something I wish tracks sometimes would put more effort into, is coming up with some different cool trophies, and I always enjoy that. But another thing that I love is cardboard checks. Well, because it's cool to hang them up on your wall in your shop or stuff, and maybe other racers can agree with me. So especially when you win a large amount of money, if you go to a race and win, 1,000, 2,000, maybe 10,000 if you're, one of the high sprint car guys, 10, 20,000. That's really, really cool, I have a big cardboard check of it. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are on all that. But that's my favorite part, kind of about the winning aspect of it. But more, it's just we love racing. There isn't, anything about it. People, I think one of the options was money. Unless you're at a really high level, you're not really making money in racing. We're all just here just because that's what we love to do, and this is how we choose to spend our time. Donnie Schatz or David Gravel? I like both of them. Donnie, obviously, I know a lot of people hate on Donnie and whatnot. I more just respect the guy. He's such a legend. And David has just been on it this year. He's had some really good years. And I know last year in 2018, he didn't win as many races as he probably wanted to compared to his 2017 season. But, now this year he's been really, really good with Jason Johnson Racing. And, of course, winning the Knoxville Nationals, Kapatani Classic, and he's just been where he needs to be. And now the title fight's getting a little bit closer. I know he's still I think 80 or 90 points out or something, but he's way closer than he was just a few races ago. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Have you ever heard of Southern Ontario Raceway? I have not heard of that one. What do you like more, Chris Windom or Tyler Courtney? I'm a huge Tyler Courtney fan. I think he's just a straight up gasser. And something they got figured out at Eldora in that 7 BC car is insane. He's won so many races there lately in non-wing, and he's ran good in a midget, of course, too. So I like Tyler Courtney. How long until Port Royal? I'm not sure. It just kind of goes back to, like I said, funding and whatnot, and having your series race there. But Port Royal, is like, that is probably one of my highest bucket list tracks because it's the Speed Palace. It's so big, it's so wide, and it goes from, you know, a hooked up track at the beginning or whatever, and it slicks off so much it goes a few seconds off the pace, and that's when racing's so good. I think Port Royal is arguably the best track in the nation at the moment. Will you ever run Thunder Hill in an Outlaw kart? I would like to run a Thunder Hill. That looks like another Outlaw kart track. Very underrated because I think they kind of just got their name out there. And if they have another big race and it fit in with the schedule and some other races, I would like to get there. You should make a TikTok account. I've seen some racers actually do that lately. I'll probably pass on the TikTok. What does your engine program look like for both classes? So I'll kind of go over our Outlaw kart one a little bit, and then the sprint cars too. Outlaw karts, just like our 500 class is a CR 500, and then you can also, they can be stroked, 2 mil stroked, 4 mil, and 5 mil too. And they're just Honda CR 500s, and you know, you can push them really, really to the limit, and that's pretty much what everyone runs. Also, you can also run 4 strokes like KTM 450. Some people run Yamaha. And then for the 250 class, Carly, she just runs a 250 or a KTM 250. And then for our sprint cars, we have the 360 division, which is of course 360 cubic inches. And then the limited, which is also 360 cubic inches, but it's cast iron heads, steel block, flat top pistons. And so it's just a lot more stock of a class, and that's kind of really the difference. But the limited makes about, you know, 550, 580 horsepower, so it's not too far off a 360, but still a noticeable difference. Let's see. Favorite New Zealand drivers? I think the guy's name is Brad Mosen. He runs over there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Brad Mosen. And then there's Michael Pickens. So those guys are cool. Those guys are really, really cool. Racing plans for next year. So I talked about off-season, hit it hard, try to get as many sponsors as possible. And next year, just, you know, go for it. Run more races than we did the previous. Of course, we're going to run Red Bluff in the winter time, which will be about a total of 13 races, plus probably Roseburg a few times and maybe some other tracks. So I think we'll end up doing about 20 shows in the winter. But our goals for next year, run more races in the 360, scale down our limiteds to about, our limited races to under 10. I think really the only limited races we're going to run is Speed Week for ISCS because we won't be doing anything that week. And also probably run some 360 shows in California is where we want to move down there, and then run some more up in Washington. But that's our goal. I'm excited for next year, and it's going to be really fun. Also, something I want to do next year is run some more races. I think it's in Montana when the ASCS National Tour goes up there. I would like to follow them there. There's like between Dirt Cup, I think you can run like Dirt Cup in June 20th, you know, that 3-day weekend. And then you can run the Fred Brown Field with ASCS. And then we'll see what their schedule looks like next year. There might be a race the following weekend. But anyway, then you can run, I think there's a big race in Cottage Grove for limiteds or 360s that weekend. And then you have like 2 days later, the 360 Speed Week. And then you come back and you can run a race in Montana. And then you can go to the Summer Nationals at Skagit. So between that, like there's so many big money paying races within about a month and a half there. I mean, the Summer Nationals is $10,000 to win. The ASCS shows, the prelim nights are usually like, what, $3,000 to win, and Dirt Cup's $15,000 to win. So there's just a lot of big paying shows, along with also the Speed Week nights. When's your next giveaway? I have a few coming up. I'm going to do, I think, a front wing panel. I have a few of those I'm going to sign and give away, and those will be coming out, so stay tuned. Have you ever thought about racing bigger cars like hobby stocks or any of those style cars? How old are you? 16. And hobby stocks look so much fun. I have a buddy down in California. He races at Orland Speedway. He runs a hobby stock, and it's a 2-seater. So whenever I'm down there, I'm going to ride with him. It looks so fun. Just, I watched some videos. They just pile into each other, door bang. Those are the best classes. Door banger classes are the best, most fun to race and watch, I bet. So many of you guys are from NZ. Will you come to New Zealand? I want to go to New Zealand. I had a friend who recently went over there to race this past year, and it looks fun, just like a beautiful country. And that's the goal, one day to be over there. Once again, racing tips if you want to get into it. Try to get sponsors, get started, figure out what class you want to race in, figure out, your budget and whatnot, and then from there, the racing side of it is just seat time. Seat time, seat time, seat time. That's how you'll get better. Do you follow any Canadian drivers? I don't really. I've seen a few of their names. I know one of them, I think his name's Dylan Westbrook. I've seen some of his posts. He ran good at an ASCS race recently. And then Kelly Miller, I think he's more from Western Canada. I seen him down at Speed Week one of the nights where he ran with us last year. And he's ran really good with ASCS Frontier Region. So those are really the only two names. And from there, I don't really know a bunch of them. Have you ever thought about coming down to Nebraska? I've been to Nebraska before when we were driving on our way to North Carolina. No offense. Super, super, very boring, long state, driving wise. But I think they have the 305 Nationals there, so maybe one of these days. Angel Lee, hey Tanner, you're a great young driver, but the thing that I love about you is you're interacting with the young kids, just starting with how positive you are and keep going, and you'll win Knoxville one day. Thank you so much, Angel. I appreciate all the young kids' support, and obviously, those are the ones that drive this YouTube channel. Like, on my side of it, of course, I put in a lot of hard work and effort into it, but without you guys, it wouldn't be this way. So my goal for my YouTube is really just to be a community, a place where people can come and express really what they love to do. Because that's one of the things I know. I'm reading a lot of comments is, I felt the same way, and I bet some of you guys, but with school and whatnot, there's not a lot of kids that really know about what we do, or, other people our age. So it makes it tough, really. And I think, one great thing about this YouTube and stuff is, all of us can interact together about something we all truly love to do. And whenever I used to go to real school and stuff, I didn't really express much that I wanted to be a race car driver because no one understood it or stuff like that. So I felt like this is a good, safe place where all of us really can show exactly, what we love it and continue to do it. Racing with the World of Outlaws at Cedar Lake. Cedar Lake looks like one of those fun joints as well. Like to get there. Really, really cool. Carmen, yes. Did you like the candy I got in your gift basket? Yeah, I still have the gift basket. It's right down here. I finished all the candy. Thank you so much. That was really, really cool. My sisters did sneak into it. I think Krista got a few of the M&Ms. How did you do in Coos Bay last night? I won't give any spoilers, but I will say how the beginning of the night went. We qualified quick time in our group, 6th to 1st in the heat race. They did a little bit of a weird redraw thing, so we ended up starting 3rd. I won't give you any more than that, but with some rain and whatnot, the track was super, super juiced up. How many trophies do you have in your career? By Jet Amazing. Too many to count, because not necessarily all the trophies were wins, but, back when you're younger, you get trophies for finishing 2nd or finishing 3rd or finishing 10th or a participation trophy. And so I just have a lot of them. I shipped a bunch of them off in a box and gave them to another racetrack to use. But I still keep all the really cool ones. Of course, you don't give away any of your first place really good looking ones. Favorite driver from the PA Posse from Jackson. My favorite driver from the PA Posse is I like Danny Dietrich. I think because he's a little bit controversial and he seems really funny, like a funny dude, and I like a lot of his tweets. So Danny Dietrich. But probably my favorite is Freddie Raymer, the young kid Freddie Raymer won his first Outlaw race last year at Lincoln. Really, really good at Lincoln, and he's going to be coming out to Trophy Cup, so that'll be interesting to watch him at Tulare. But Freddie Raymer, I don't know, something about him. He seems like he's really, really fast. He's quick. He's smart with his moves and super consistent. Are you going to play NASCAR Heat 4? I have a bad confession. I've never played any of the NASCAR heats. Once you kind of have iRacing, it's like there's nothing that could really be better. So and after my Xbox 360 about 5 years ago, I never played any console games. So I kind of just got out of it. Coulter Dangle 22 said, "How do I get sponsors if I haven't raced before?" What I would recommend doing is just trying to write a little bit of a letter, something describe about what you're gonna do, talk about it, and talk about your passion for racing. You know, a lot of people like to help people out when they're passionate about something, and that's I think one of the things that companies look for. And whenever I write my letter, I have some friend, my dad's friend. He actually goes over it because he's pretty good at writing that stuff. So he'll go through and make all the corrections and stuff. And that was the big thing he told me. Write passionately. Talk about how this is what you love to do because people like to support that kind of stuff. So that's the biggest thing that I would do if I was trying to get started. But biggest thing is you have to put yourself out there and write a letter of some sort or contact people. What was the biggest heartbreak disappointment this year in racing sprint car where you felt like you could win something but out of control and took you out of contention? All right, Jonathan Ritchie, good question. You might even know the answer. The biggest heartbreak for me this year, and it's even hard to talk about it because I felt like it could have been such a crazy moment, but at the same time, you move past stuff, so you just kind of forget about it. But when we were running with the ASCS National guys and we had that incident the second night of Dirt Cup, I thought we could have won that race if we could have got past that wreck, but I panicked or whatever, and I got into the inside wall, and some things happened that I just didn't really expect the car to do. I didn't realize how fast I was going, and it was just one of those kind of stupid decisions, silly situations, and that was the biggest heartbreak for me, just because, of course, that would have been huge to win an ASCS National race. But, I think there's always next year, and I think when we come back to Skagit and Grays Harbor with those guys and run with them next year, we're going to be so much stronger. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting racing with them, and that's the goal. The goal is, here in the next few years, to get on the road with the ASCS National Tour and run with them. Man, that'd be a dream come true. Oh, Nicholas Sawyer, is amazing how good you are. Can't wait to see you in NASCAR. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for the $5 donation. I really, really appreciate that, dude. And yeah, thank you so much for the support. How do you, oh, I just lost it. How do you like Kyle Busch? You guys are so different. Anytime someone puts a pass on him, you take a chance putting him in the wall. Angel Lee, I like Kyle Busch because I like him because he has personality. He's one of those drivers that really isn't afraid to show it. Trust me, I don't necessarily sometimes agree with some of his comments and whatnot, of course, and how he could come off that way. But at the same time, I just laugh and that's just Kyle. That's just him. And so I always, what I like about him is his passion to win, and that's something I always strive for. He wants to win more than everyone else, and he drives harder than everyone else, and I think it's also some of the reason he's kind of the way that he is because he just knows he is that good. He's the most talented guy in the field, and so that's why I love Kyle, and I will always be on his side. Even after the incident with all the comments and the reporters, I don't know what else you would expect in an interview from Kyle after a rough race. It's just gonna be like that. What is the starting age for Outlaw Karts? Outlaw Karts about 4 or 5 years old, about the youngest you could start. Best points finish in your career. If you're asking position wise, we've won a few championships in my career. 2 times in the Red Bluff Outlaws box stock in 250, we've won a championship, which was first, obviously. ISCS champion this year, and then we won a few out at the Southern Oregon Speedway when I first started. So I believe we have, I think, 6 championships total, 5 or 6. I always forget the ones way back, but it's been really, really fun. Ever heard of Max Dumsney? I've heard the last name Dumsney, and I think there might be a few of them, so I'm not sure. I believe, though, I have before. What grade are you in? I am in the 11th grade, and I'm doing a little bit of a different schooling thing, so I should be kind of wrapped up with high school by the end of this year, but I'm still going to kind of be enrolled because they're paying for my college classes and whatnot. Really, really good program, so yeah. Do you like Chase Elliott? Yeah, I think one thing that's great about Chase is he's just a good representative for the sport. Really, really good guy. Got a very level head, and so cool to see him win today. He deserves it. ISCS for IMCA. So ISCS is not like a like IMCA in the sense of there's different racetracks and whatnot, or it's all over. ISCS is just a series. It stands for the Interstate Sprint Car Series. It's a touring division for our limited class that goes all over Oregon and Washington. So all the tracks that we hit, we go to Cottage Grove, they go to Willamette Speedway, they go to Coos Bay, they go to the Sunset Speedway Park, and the Grays Harbor Speedway in Elma, Washington. Total of, it's supposed to be 14 races, 14 points races. This year is only 12 because some rainouts, but total we ended up doing 14 because there's 2 non-points races. And it's run by Heather Boyce, Brian Crockett, and Lester, and they do a phenomenal job. Really, really fun to work with them, and they give us great racetracks. They give us a good format, and overall, running with ISCS is a bunch of fun. If you want, can I take a picture of my dad's race car on Instagram and tag you? Absolutely, Aiden. Go for it. If you guys want to tag me on Instagram, want me to see your stuff, I do apologize if you've sent me messages lately on Instagram or anything. I haven't really got to them. It has been, I've been getting a lot of messages, so I've been trying to keep up and whatnot, but everything's been getting lost. So bear with me and keep sending the same message so I can see it. Oh, how did you get into the Swindle team? So that's a good story. And I'm wearing the Swindle Speed Lab stuff. Basically, it wasn't anything crazy. I had... Kevin was in our same TeamSpeak funny that we were in. There's a bunch of us in there. And I kind of been in the same channel with him a few times, whatever that, and didn't have anything really to deal with what was going on. But pretty much, I got an email one day, and Kevin kind of sent, he just talked about, everything that they wanted to do and what Team Speed Lab he wants it to be and whatnot. And it kind of just got started that way. And then from there, they obviously announced who their Speed Lab drivers were. And it was just something really quick. It wasn't like, anything insane. So it was just kind of Kevin contacted me. He made it happen, and he's done a great job. So fun working with Swindle Speed Lab, of course, and they got the new Bell helmets back here, and they were a big part of that, and Bell Racing helmets. So really, really fun, and I can't wait to work with them more in the future. And I talk with Kevin a bunch, just about our racing and whatnot. So really, really good guy, and it's cool that he's giving back a ton to us young racers and really taking care of us. Oh, Lucas Games donated $2. Thank you so much, Lucas. Hi, I'm a huge fan, and I'm a quarter midget racer. That's awesome, dude. Good luck in everything you do. I know quarter midgets are a really, really fun form of racing, and a lot of you guys really get after it down there, and cool with the clubs and whatnot. Karts and cameras. Yes, you can have a shout out, dude. What's up? Favorite Cali sprint car driver. This is a no doubter. I know exactly who this one is. The guy I've always looked up to since the kind of the beginning, or, and once I was old enough to really realize who all the drivers were at Red Bluff, and is Sean Becker. Sean has just, I think he's a lot of different people's idols. He's just so good, and he's just the nicest guy in the pit area. He has a level head, he's fast, he wins races, and he's just a really, really good dude. So the Shark, Sean Becker, I have his t-shirt, and it's always cool to get to talk to him, because he's not one of those guys, that is big time or whatever. Even though he's a really good sprint car driver, he will take the time out of his day to say hi when he sees you, and just be an average Joe. So really, really cool. He's always been kind of one of my idols. Judson O'Neill, I'll put my email in the thing. If any of you guys have questions for me here, let me type it in. You can send it right here. There is that. There you go, dude. Your sister ever going to drive a sprint car? I think so. I think the goal next year is for her to kind of get some laps started. She'll be 14 at some point, so I think that's going to be the goal. And then also, a lot of you guys are saying when to sell any old suits. So I have mixed emotions. Like my super old suits, maybe, but like my first custom Simpson, since it's still obviously got some time in it, it's dirty and whatnot. What I want to do is I want to be able to hang it up. Like one day, I would love to have a sweet race shop and have like all my old helmets, all my old suits, kind of so you could see progression. I think that would be really, really cool. So that's the plan with this next helmet. Get this helmet painted. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Let me know real quick. I'm still considering, but should I leave my helmet carbon or should I get it painted? I'm not sure. But I think I'm going to. And I think I want to go to Poland Designs. Okay, guys, got about 10 minutes left. I noticed we've been going 50 minutes strong. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. But we'll keep going. Last-minute questions. Keep hooking them up, and we'll answer them. Favorite California track? Obviously, I've never been to any. I've only watched it Silver Dollar. But just from videos I've seen, the best one overall would be Placerville, consistently. That seems to be a lot of people's favorite. Also, Tulare. Tulare looks pretty fun. Tulare had some good races this year, but I mean, like the 2015, 2014 Tulare, if you ever watch Loud Pedal videos or anything, that looked like the prime, and tracks like that looked really fun. So, Jonathan Ritchie, another question. So this year you ran almost a third of the STSS races here in Washington. Any thoughts maybe running a full series next year with the big guns here in Washington and Oregon? I don't think I'll run a full season with them. It's a great series, great format, and I always really enjoy, running up there with them. I mean, really good drivers. You got Devin Borden, Jason Sowald, who else? There's a lot of them. Cam Smith, Colton Heath, Logan Foiler. And so it's fun running up there with them. I don't think we'll run the full season, but I definitely think that we're going to try to run some races with them next year because that's going to make you better. A lot of good drivers. A lot of good talent right in that area. Denny Smith, I have enjoyed your vlogs and your in-car video. Your attitude on bad nights are what they are, but you seem to take the time to breathe. You don't blow up on your vlog. Thank you. Yeah, I try not to. I don't really blow up off the vlog either. It just really, really depends. I mean, I could say I've probably had a few moments where I've just been so frustrated or whatever, but I try to leave that out of the vlog. I don't mind showing emotion. I think that's all part of it, but blow-ups, like what you mentioned, that's a good term. Try to keep that out of it, Some of you guys think I should leave it carbon. Some thinks I should paint it. I don't know, man. It's tough. Carbon's really nice. Carbon's really nice. Rip the Lip Kid is here. Nice to see you, dude. How's it going? Karts and Cameras, David Gravel's channel is kind of weird but cool. I've actually watched a lot of his videos lately, and he's doing a good job. And it's cool to see more people vlogging. Vlogging's fun. It's cool to see other people do it and other racers. His is such a high caliber of racing, and that's cool to get insight on that. That's what's, I think, kind of different between a few of the vloggers I've seen start, is everyone's kind of different. That's what's awesome about it. His is obviously, like I said, World of Outlaws racing. This is what it's like to be on the Outlaw Tour. Mine is like, I'm just kind of doing local stuff and whatnot, but that's cool. Everyone's different, and he's at such a high stage, so it's awesome to see what it's like. Think you should leave it carbon and do a clear wrap on it. That's also a possibility. What I was also thinking is not necessarily paint the whole thing, but do like something where the carbon kind of shines through, or like make a design and wherever the black is, kind of leave the carbon, because I want to incorporate that into it. Oh, will you ever do pavement sprint cars? Pavement, I mean, there's some racing. There's some racing, I think, up in Idaho for that, but there's not a lot of it close, so I don't think I'll be in the pavement sprint cars anytime soon. Wolfen Racing, do you think that iRacing is the most realistic simulation you can get? Do you think it can help you when you aren't racing? Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that iRacing does, and I think a lot of racers would second this, is it obviously doesn't give you the seat feeling and whatnot, but situationals where I think iRacing benefits me the most, because when you can run into situations where it's 2 laps to go, getting ready to go green, and you have to decide whether you want to slide the guy, you want to follow him, you want to try to run a different line, or you'll run into situations, last lap moves, or where to run when a track is gripped up or when it's slick. So I think situational stuff is what helps you the most on that game. I do think you can learn a little bit of throttle control and a little bit of how to run your lines, but situational stuff is the biggest thing I think that helps you for your mindset and whatnot. All right, we got a few more minutes left. We'll wrap this deal up. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. Shop tours coming soon, Sawyer Laird. We're just getting ready to put the cars away for the season, so I thought it'd be perfect as we work towards next year. I'm going to get the cars lined up perfectly. We still have a little bit of cleaning left to do on the shop. Someone asked, how do you balance school and racing? Biggest thing, kids, don't do this, but I kind of just put racing first. School, obviously, but I think it's because I get good grades. It's not like I have D's and C's and whatnot. I get good grades. My parents never had super high standards, like had to be a 4.0 student, but it was always just A's and B's. C's were not acceptable, and that's how it kind of just works in our household. So I was always just an A and B student. I think my GPA is about 3.4 to 3.8. It always was in high school, so not bad. And now I just try to get my schoolwork done so I don't have to worry about it. Why not paint your helmet up in the colors of the Bobby Labonte 2000 Interstate Batteries car with the red 18 on the green background while keeping it a bit carbon? That's a good idea. That's something to consider. I love the Bobby Labonte 18. Really, really cool paint scheme. And that would be cool to have something like that on a helmet. Oh, it's starting to rain outside. Man, it's funny. Real quick, I'll talk about that. How crazy, well, at least where I live, how quickly it went from summer to fall like that. We went from having like 90-degree days. It was really hot up here in Southern Oregon, and I'm not as bad as California. I'm not going to complain too much. And then literally one day, boom, we had a straight week of rain. Races were getting canceled and stuff. People didn't know if we were racing, and now it's been like that. Thunderstorms, lightning, fires, everything, you name it. So it's been pretty crazy up here in the Pacific Northwest. What's the difference between a 360 and a limited? I'm Aussie, so we have 360s and 410s. So I kind of talked about this. Obviously, 360 is your standard 360 cubic inch engine. They have opens or they have ASCS heads. That's really the only difference with the 360. The limited, it is flat top pistons, cast iron head, steel block, and pretty much it's just straight from. It's like the head straight from the factory. It's super stock, so it's like about 550, 580 horsepower. Can you search up on YouTube later, Big Wreck Mini Stock 28, please? I can do that for you, Aiden. But, okay, if you guys have any last-minute questions, send them in. It's been really fun doing this, and let me know if you want me to do it more. I always love when I get to interact with you guys, talk with you guys, answer your questions. You can know more about me and just get some insight. I totally understand. It is, sometimes, watching from the other end as I watch other vloggers, you want to know as much about, the people you're watching. CV or Leary? Man, you're putting two good guys together there with that one, OJ. CV is one of my good friends, of course, being from Outlaw Karts, and then CJ Leary, I don't know him, but he's really, really good as well. I'm not even going to pick in between them. They're teammates when they run for Reinbold, so both of them are good. Leary's probably going to win the USAC championship. CV's ran really good with USAC the last few years, won last year in midgets, so really cool to see both of them succeed. All right. When did you get your iRacing steering wheel? I got it a while back. I haven't upgraded yet, but I think. Look at this, guys. We got a guess firsthand. You're even ripping merch.
I know.
I didn't actually. I thought before this. Carly and I kind of talked. And she said, "I'm not gonna come in. I'm not gonna spoil." So everyone, say hi real quick before we end the live stream. But
I gotta go.
Oh.
I have school.
All right.
Stay in school, kids.
Carly has school on a Sunday. So anyway. Well, where was I at? Oh, so I was kind of just wrapping it up or whatever, but yeah, so it's, we got a few weeks off before we go to Red Bluff, and that's kind of where we'll be then. It's been really, really fun season. The sprint car, we won 8 limited races total. Yeah, 8 limited races total. We've won 5 Outlaw Kart races this year, maybe. Let's see. 4 Outlaw Kart wins this season, so a total of 12. Outstanding 2019, and I look forward to 2020, so. Someone asked me a question I was going to answer real quick about a custom Simpson. Let me see. What happened to your custom Simpson? And Jacob, I do recognize you. My custom Simpson, I kind of outgrew it. It was weird when I got it. It wasn't really built perfectly for me. We tried to make it work, and it just didn't. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're about ready to hit 1 hour. This was a great Q&A. Daniel asked a question, would you ever try a different form of motorsports? I'd be open to everything. I would be open to Outlaw Karts, or I already do Outlaw Karts, micros, modifieds, late models, all of that would just be really, really fun. So I'm going to end this here now. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been really, really fun. We got our vlogs for the rest of this week. We got a vlog coming out tomorrow from Coos Bay from our sprint car racing this season. I think I'm going to do an ISCS recap where I kind of talk about, what it took to become champion this year and show every single win and just kind of talk you guys through it. We can relive the season together. And then we're going on a little, not a trip, but we have our annual camping trip where we head over to the Oregon coast, and so we're getting ready to do that. We'll be gone about Wednesday through Sunday, so I'm going to try to make some vlogs, but that'll be nice to just have some time off, not racing for a few weeks, and kind of get back in the right mindset and head to Red Bluff. So I'm getting excited. Thank you guys. I'll see you all in the next one.